And welcome back to Smart Martial Arts, the YouTube channel where we go over everything martial arts. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how I hope I'm in frame, but also my weapon review series. I'm going to continue that. I'm going to be talking about the kamas. Basically, what the kamas are it's just a tiny scythe. Now, depending on how you want to look at it with the karate weapons, whether you want to look at it from the belief that the weapons stemmed from the the government or whatever, the empire, whatever it was, basically banning weapons. So the peasants had to use their farming equipment, which I'm going to go for. That's how I know it. If you know a different way, let me know. But that's just the way that I know it. So these would have been basically just cutting tools where they walk by and then they just hack. They hack the things. The nunchucks were where they would beat the the dried rice or whatever it was off. And then that's all I got for right now. But the kamas are just tiny scythes. So they have, I believe these are like a foot or so long, and then they have the blade on the end. I have an actual pair, or I have an actual kama that was used, I don't know, early 1900s, I think, depending on when it was actually bought. I found that at my parents' new house. It's probably not then, but we're just gonna say, because that's cooler, we're gonna stick with it, even though it's probably more recent than that. Maybe I'll grab that before I call it. And then I have this pair, and then I have a pair that I bought that's actually sharp. But with the weapon review series, I'm gonna keep it the same as the other criteria, with multiple ways to use, harm yourself, ease of learning, and the practicality. And we're going to go right into multiple ways to use. Now, as these are sharp, obviously the primary way is going to be kind of a slashing, where you're kind of either stab and then cut, or you're going to try to slice. But as they're also hooked, you could also go behind the head, and you can kind of hook something. You can hook like a blade or something, whatever you wanted to do, kind of deflect it, bang, bang. And then you also have the bottom of it. So if you wanted like a hammer fist like this, or like smack with it, anything like that. So multiple ways to use, as it is going to be a primary slashing and like stabbing weapon. You could also do the normal hammer fists, and you can hook. I don't remember how I did this, to be completely honest. I kind of watched the video just to remember what I actually did. If I rated them, I'll put the rating up here. The next one is harm to self. And I haven't really used this weapon in a fighting standpoint because we don't spar with weapons. But I would assume the harm to self is relatively low, because if you wanted to, you could hold low, you could hold in the middle, or you could hold, if you wanted to, you could go up here for no reason. But if you hold like near the middle and the bottom, there shouldn't really be any chance really of you hurting yourself, unless it like kind of deflects, or if you kind of hit wrong and it comes back up into you, or it goes down in your hand. But harm to self, I don't think there would really be a way, especially with like if you compare them to nunchucks, where if you're just not paying attention for a second, you're gonna smash the shit out of your elbow, and that's not fun. So harm to self, I think it's gonna be relatively low. But there's probably some kind of way where, maybe if you're not paying attention, they slide out of your hand. Maybe you're kicking ass so much that there's so much blood on it that you go to hit somebody and it just cuts it down, and then you cut yourself. But other than that, I can't really think of another way where you would actually like hurt yourself with these. The next after that would be ease of learning. And as these are relatively straightforward, I feel like these would be pretty easy to pick up. All you have to know is you have to remember that the cutting is not like kind of straight like this, like with a knife, but it's on the edge. So you're gonna have to kind of like here, or if the blade is like at the point of it is sharp enough, then you can slash like that. But I feel like you hold this for probably 5 minutes and you're already, I'm good to go. So ease of learning I feel like is a lot, and then also if you didn't want to do that, you could still hammer fist if you wanted to hold it down here and do that. But I feel like these ones, just like a bow staff where it's just a big ass stick, You're gonna probably pick it up pretty easy. The only thing is I've never actually fought with them, so I don't know if they would get like caught in something, or how easy it would be to like kind of defend against them. But in terms of learning them, I don't foresee a big problem with that. And then the last one is the practicality. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've never seen somebody walk around just on the street with a pair of kamas. So kind of that alone, and a lot of the martial arts weapons, you're not going to see them a lot. Really the most practical martial arts anyway are going to be like an eskrima stick from Kali, or like a bow staff, which is basically just going to be like a stick that you find, or like a branch, it's the same thing, or like a broomstick handle, something like that. But in terms of kamas, there's not really a lot of times you would use this unless you're like a farmer that liked to do the old-fashioned way. So having these are also not that convenient to carry because the blade is on the bottom. So even if you had them in a belt or something like that, and you didn't, weren't paying attention, or they slip out, they're gonna kind of harm things. So I don't know how practical they are, but if you could figure out a way, then go you. But I feel like the practicality on this one is going to be probably one of the lowest in terms of the martial arts weapons that we actually end up going over. Even though I know it's been a while, I plan on doing these more often now that I actually have experience with more weapons. And that's all for the main four that I wanted to talk about. But the other thing with this, personally, these are my favorite weapon. For the longest time, it was the bow staff. But I've since, I don't know, been tasked, but been challenged almost to make my own form. And that's part of it. One day I'll actually know how to catch it. But I've been tasked to make my own form, and in the process of doing that, I've really started to pick these up. Because back when I was a green belt, I was like, ooh, I want to learn kamas. Those are going to be my weapon. And then I learned them, and I was like, oh, this is kind of boring. But now that I've actually spent a good amount of time with them, they're super fun, and I think these are my favorite weapon of all of them that I've gone over so far. So in that aspect, I think that's a win, because I think my opinion matters the most out of just about anybody's, really. If we wanted to go over like that, that's not supposed to happen. But yeah, that's going to be it. Why'd you fall? And that's going to be it for this weapon review of the kamas. It wasn't too exciting. There's not really a lot to say about the kamas, especially since I've never had any serious practical use past kind of like, in the form, kind of the bunkai of the form. But I've never really used them in a way that I would, actually learn the pros and cons of them. So whatever you guys think, but if you guys agree with me, if you guys even know what the hell kamas are, because most people are somewhat unfamiliar with these, let me know if you've used them, when do you use them, how you use them, and where you would put them in terms of all the four things that I went over. And then the personal opinion doesn't matter. I've already given mine, so we don't need to talk about that one any more than we already have. Other than that, that's going to be it for me. I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.